parts vehicle. I just got this last weekend. Tear it down, take the stuff off I need, and then prep it to sell the rest of it. No motor, no trans. It has what I believe is a 4-inch rough country lift on it. The front axle is going to go into the Comanche to get rid of the cat axle and replace the one I got from the junkyard that did not work. The fenders are bed liner coated, but they're still sellable. The hood's sellable. Brake lines are new. This piece is sellable. Wiper transmission and all the assembly is sellable. Controls for the transmission. Lots of wiring, random brackets, rear axle, gas tank, sport bar, random extra engine, and some of the interior parts. He's not in fantastic shape, but there's a lot of decent parts, and I got it for a good price. Yeah, there's not a lot left. Frame's already been patched. Part of the frame might be something I can use to put the rear suspension into my 63 Wrangler, because right now it has an interesting rear suspension setup, and it'd be nice to forward link it on the cheap if possible. Start by taking the cowl panel off, hood, fenders, wiper transmission, all the components. One screw left right here, and it's stripped out, so I'm going to drill it out. Trade it for a smaller, sharper bit. There we go. Hopefully now we can take this off. Use my impact tool. A lot of times these don't like to feed themselves in with the regular impact. Take the hood off and get the shims and start collecting parts. Make sure you disconnect the windshield washer hose. Now with the hood off, I'm going to take all the components off the fenders, get the fenders ready to come off, and go from there. Remove the evap canister and the washer fluid reservoir. This does have a non-standard bolt on it, so I'm going to have to take that nut off. Hopefully it comes off. Get the horns off next. So that's basically everything on the driver's side fender. Get the battery box next. So it looks like the only fasteners holding this in at this point, at least for the driver's front fender, are those full bolts right there, because the grill would have supported the front. And there's a series of bolts down through here. Take those off and pull the fender open. These lower two bolts are going to be somewhat of a problem. Just from access point of view. I have to get some higher tooth count ratchets. Oh, it's fun. I'll put one screw back in because I'm going to have to get the last bolt from the bottom. I don't want the fender falling on me. So now with both front fenders off, I'll start working on the power steering, brake lines, sway bar links, and any other random stuff. Fender brackets off as they'll come off, and then we'll move into the wiper transmission, and we'll systematically start gutting the interior. Work our way front to back. We're going to take the steering arm off of the pitman arm. I'm going to leave this Pitman arm on the steering box and I'll take it off as one unit. I'm going to separate the lines and take the steering rack joint off. I'm going to pull the steering box bolts. I'm going to try to tilt it, let it drain, then I'll pull it off. It's hitting the front. My plan was to let it drain, but it's hitting the front bumper. I have to trade bolts here. This is the desired effect. It's not exactly how I want it to happen. I'll let it drain and pull it off. This is the drain for the cowl area. Yeah, to say these drains get clogged up is an understatement. We're going to take the wiper motor and the wiper motor transmission assembly out. If I'm lucky, I can use this as a motor for my 63 Wrangler because they're vacuum actuated and I want to replace that. So we're in the Jeep where the engine transmission would be. I can definitely see why they junked this frame. Taking everything off the front that I'm going to do for now. I'm going to set up time lapse and get all the loose junk out of the interior. Take the door catch brackets off. This bracket, any of these loose pieces, loose bolts. It's actually one of the controllers for the for the airbags. Take the parking brake lever assembly off. Now our next task is seat bolts. Really beginning to feel bad because I didn't think I was going to be able to get this out because of where the rear bolts are positioned. And then, yeah, the floor's gone. So. Yeah, we got confirmation on Flintstone floor. The fold and tumble mechanism on the seat seems to be jammed up. I'm going to try and take some of the bolts apart and get the seat to move because I cannot remove it from the vehicle without having the seat tumble. Pulling the seat slider bolts seem to have helped. I'm going to see what I can do to get it moved. I could just be a big idiot and on this older style there's a release and I didn't know that. Yeah, there's your release lever. So I put the slide bolts back in and I have the seat on a table. Let's see if I can figure out where I screwed up or if the seat's broken. I'm pretty sure I screwed up. So this position would be the seat tumbled forward. I've owned 4 TJs, with this being my 4th, and I've never had any trouble with the seats. I've also never taken them out before, and they definitely changed for the 06 because the seats in my 06 are quite a bit different, at least in the frame. I don't see this same type of release system. Well, I don't feel quite as stupid as I did before, but this cable arm goes to the seat back, which when you pull the release strap, you move the back of the seat, this cable should move this arm, which would release slide mechanisms, but it's not functioning. That's why I had so much trouble with it. So the seat's not broken. This cable might be, at least the mechanism is still good. With the seats pulled, I need to take the carpet and some of the loose junk out of it. Order. Our next task is to take this 4-liter out of the back. I'm going to leave the striker in for the tailgate until I get the body off of the frame. Another broken Harbor Freight Torx bit. I guess I'll be cutting these on both sides from the back. Yippee. The backing underneath the piece is gone, so I might just be able to lift these, but these little boogers, it's like on my Comanche, I'm gonna have to come in through here and grind the back sides off to take the bar out. These rear bar bolts on the TJ require a tamper-proof Torx bit. I was able to break them free with a breaker bar. I'm gonna zip them out with this, because there's not a lot of space. Take the seat belts off from the upper brackets. And these are supposed to be hinged. They're supposed to be hinged up here, but a lot of times they break off. That same system goes for all the top seat belt bolts. In order to remove the bolts for the roll bar, I'm going to have to remove the fender flare and some other pieces to get access to the back of the bolts, including the inner fender liner. Oh, it's part of the body. Taking out the fender liner allows you to get access to the bolts retained fender flares. I'm going to peel as much of the steel back as I can to get access to the nuts so I can grind the heads off. This body is toast. Yeah, I don't think I'm here with a cutoff wheel. I'm going to make myself more work if I don't do it that way. Well, that was secured well. Well, that was fun. Give you a closer look at the removal spots. So this side of the roll bar should be free. I'm going to have to do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to attempt to pick the cage up out of the body with the cherry picker. No, not the best construction. We're going to access our filler neck, get the screws off the hose, pull this so I can pull the gas tank out. I push the gas filler neck down. We're going to access the clamp screws. I was going to try to take it off the tank, but the screws are pointed up and I can't get to them. So I've got both the clamps loose and we will clean bolt the tank and slide it down and I can get it the rest of the way off. There are two nuts holding the skid plate on up onto the frame behind the rear axle. So I'll pop those off now. We pulled the nuts off, so now I should be able to fully take the tank out. Well, the tank's down, it's full of gas, so this is gonna be fun. We're gonna take our license plate bracket off. This is the parking brake assembly. We're gonna take this E-clip out, which should allow us to get the handle off. And then we will be able to hopefully push these tabs in and get the brake off, and we can get the whole assembly out. And that's the pin that goes through the assembly. You have to squeeze these little tangs and release it from this hole. More change. We're going to remove the 3 screws for the boot. I'm going to start by taking the nuts off the parking brake assembly. Then all of the body connections should be good other than the mounts, which there are a bunch, and I will start taking those off. They're like gonna break. This is basically a time when I get covered in rust and dirt. I might have to push this assembly up in through the bottom from the top side. Take the front passenger side body bolt off. This is a middle body mount on the passenger side. They're the floorboards of the passenger seats. I highly doubt this mount is going to come off because of all the rust, but we will see. This is a passenger rear compartment mount. Nothing but spinning. So I'll probably have to break the body up there. Do the driver's side, then we'll get to the back. There's no point in even trying with this mount. We're gonna get the 2 body bolts that are in the middle of the chassis underneath where the rear seat is effectively. And we'll get the 2 last ones at the end. These are the rearmost bolts for the body. Yeah, that one's not gonna come out. That one's sheared in half. Let's see what luck we have trying to separate the body at this point. I might have to come to and cut this body mount bolt. This side's free. There's not much of this body left. I forgot just how bad it is to try to cut through body mounts because they come up with a blade, and that was the last metal cutting blade I had, so I had to get somewhat creative. Thank you all very much for watching the first episode of my Jeep Wrangler TJ teardown. The next video is going to involve removing the body from the frame and basically cutting the entire body and frame up. Some interesting stuff and a whole lot of rust. It'll be coming out very soon. Thank you very much. Like, subscribe, do all that jazz. Thank you. It's 1.5.
I know it is.